In China's extensive and far-reaching myths and legends, the Queen Mother of the West occupies a place with her mysterious and unfathomable power. As an important deity in ancient Chinese culture, the Queen Mother of the West is not only the protagonist of mythical stories, but also an object repeatedly mentioned in later literature, art, and even religious beliefs. But who is the Queen Mother of the West who appears many times in ancient documents? What kind of cultural significance and symbol does it carry? To answer these questions, we might as well start with the Book of Mountains and Seas and other ancient books and documents that first recorded the story of the Queen Mother of the West, to explore the true face of this ancient god. The Classic of Mountains and Seas is China's oldest mythological and geographical book. It was written between the Warring States period and the early Han Dynasty. It is not only valuable information for studying ancient Chinese geography, biology, ethnicity, and history, but also contains rich myths, legends, and folk stories. In the records of Shanhai Jing, the Queen Mother of the West is described as a mysterious goddess living in Kunlun Mountain. Her image is majestic and mysterious, and she is endowed with the ability to manage peaches, diseases, and disasters. In addition to the Classic of Mountains and Seas, the image and story of Queen Mother of the West also appear in other ancient books, such as the biography of Emperor Mu. The biography of Emperor Mu further enriches the image and legend of the Queen Mother of the West by describing the mythical story of King Mu of Zhou traveling to the western regions to search for the Queen Mother of the West. These documents not only record the mythical image and miracles of the Queen Mother of the West, but also reflect the ancient people's understanding and imagination of nature, the universe, and life. As a mysterious and powerful female deity, the Queen Mother of the West plays an important role in ancient Chinese culture. She is not only an important character in myths and legends, but also a recurring deity in many literary and artistic works of later generations. Her image is changeable, with both a terrifying and a kind side, reflecting the ancient people's awe and worship of nature and the power of life. By interpreting the records of the Queen Mother of the West in ancient books such as the Classic of Mountains and Seas and the biography of Emperor Mu, we can not only get a glimpse of the religious beliefs and cultural concepts in ancient times, but also gain a deep understanding of the profound impact of these ancient documents on later Chinese culture. With the development of archaeology and the deepening of document research, the historical truth of the mysterious image of the Queen Mother of the West will gradually be revealed, providing us with a new perspective on understanding ancient Chinese civilization. 1. Who is the Queen Mother of the West? Why does he look demigod? The origin and name analysis of Queen Mother of the West. Queen Mother of the West, a mysterious and legendary name, occupies a pivotal position in ancient Chinese mythology. Her name first appeared in the ancient Chinese classic The Classic of Mountains and Seas, and her description is full of mystery and fantasy. According to the Book of Mountains and Seas, the Queen Mother of the West lived in the mysterious Kunlun Mountains and was the ruler of the Kunlun Mountains. She was in charge of the immortal peaches, as well as many fairies and mythical beasts. The West in her name refers to the geographical location of the Kunlun Mountains where she lives, the Western paradise in the minds of ancient Chinese people, while the Queen Mother is a recognition of her noble status, meaning she is not only a mountain god, but also the mother of gods. The evolution of the image of Queen Mother of the West, from orc to fairy. The image of the Queen Mother of the West has rich and complex descriptions in ancient documents. In the initial depiction, she may not be completely humanoid, with certain animalistic characteristics. This is common in many ancient myths. Gods often combine the characteristics of humans and other creatures in nature, reflecting the ancients' reverence for nature and the imagination of supernatural powers. For example, the image with tiger teeth and leopard tail mentioned in Shanhai Jing is the embodiment of this idea. However, with the passage of time, the image of the Queen Mother of the West gradually became more humane, transforming from a mysterious creature that was half human and half animal to a fully human fairy image. In later Taoist culture, the Queen Mother of the West was portrayed as a dignified, beautiful, kind goddess of heaven. This image change not only reflects the development of social culture and religious beliefs, but also reflects the different human beings' views on divinity. Understand and imagine. 2. Did the era when gods and humans coexisted really exist? When discussing the half-human, half-animal deity of the Queen Mother of the West, we are actually exploring how ancient people explained and understood the world they lived in through myths. This era of intersection between humans and gods reflects early mankind's profound thinking about nature, the universe, and life itself. The classic of mountains and seas contains not only the Queen Mother of the West, but also Nuwa, Fuxi, Chu, Gong and many other demigods. These images represent the ancients' imagination of the blend of divinity and humanity. The symbolic meaning of the intersection of man and God. These images of half-human, half-animal gods are not only the product of ancient people's artistic creations, but also the way they tried to explain the world. For example, the story of Nuwa's creation of man depicts the origin of mankind, and Dehu's control of floods reflects the ancients' response to natural disasters and early attempts to govern society. The images of humans and gods in these myths represent the ancients' profound understanding and respect for life and nature when they were unable to explain natural phenomena scientifically. The universality of fairy tales. When we expand our perspective to Eastern and Western myths and legends, we will find that different cultures produced similar stories at similar points in time. Whether it is God's creation of man and the flood of the century in the Bible, or Nuwa's creation of man and Dehu's control of floods in the Book of Mountains and Seas, these stories are all trying to answer basic questions about the origin of human beings, the formation of society, and the causes of natural disasters. Question. This phenomenon shows that mythology played an important role in the development of early human civilization and is a common cultural heritage of different cultures. Mythology and the history of human development. We can understand the view that atheists deny the existence of God as a modern interpretation of mythology. However, myths and religious beliefs occupy an important position in human history and cultural development. They not only reflect human exploration and imagination of the unknown world, but are also an important manifestation of human cultural diversity and ideological complexity. Myths, stories, and belief systems, whether in ancient or modern society, are the common spiritual wealth of mankind. They help us understand the past, think about the present, and inspire imagination for the future. 3. What aspect is the Queen Mother of the West in charge of? Why is there an elixir? The image of the Queen Mother of the West is extremely rich in ancient Chinese mythology. She is not only the ruler of the Kunlun Mountains, but is also regarded as the controller of diseases, disasters, and immortality. The priesthood of the Queen Mother of the West and the areas she governs reflect the ancient Chinese people's profound understanding and sacred imagination of nature, life, and death. The responsibilities of the Queen Mother of the West and the areas she governs. In ancient literature and mythology, the Queen Mother of the West is depicted as the goddess in charge of the Kunlun Mountains and the mysterious area west of the Kunlun Mountains. She is not only in charge of Xian Tao Yuan, but also controls diseases and disasters in the world. She has the dual ability to give life and take life. In some stories, the Queen Mother of the West can also determine a person's lifespan and has the power to change destiny. This image made the Queen Mother of the West a very respected and feared existence in the minds of ancient people. The legend of the elixir, the fairy peach and the myth of immortality. One of the most well-known miracles of the Queen Mother of the West is the elixir and peaches she possesses. It is said that these elixirs and peaches bloom for thousands of years and bear fruit for thousands of years. Eating them can make people immortal. The story of King Mu of Zhou visiting the Queen Mother of the West and receiving a gift of fairy peaches made this legend deeply rooted in people's hearts. Xian Tao not only symbolizes the eternity of life, but also symbolizes supreme wisdom and power. In the imagination of ancient people, the Queen Mother of the West, who could master this elixir, undoubtedly had a sacred status that transcended ordinary people. The Book of Mountains and Seas is the first document to record the existence of the Queen Mother of the West. In particular, a section of the Book of Western Mountains mentions the Yushan mountain where she lived. It describes that she has a human form with a leopard tail and tiger teeth, is good at roaring, and wears a disheveled crown on her head. Crown. In the biography of Emperor Mu, the image of Queen Mother of the West developed into an elegant and noble woman, a noble image that is both human and immortal. Among them, the description of the encounter between King Mu of Zhou and Queen Mother of the West is particularly vivid. The two shared a banquet in Yaokai, singing and answering each other, showing their deep emotions for each other. Queen Mother Xi invited Emperor Mu to visit again in the future, and Emperor Mu promised to come back for another visit in 3 years. In the Han Dynasty, the Queen Mother of the West was even regarded as the goddess who had the elixir of immortality. Huinanzi Lanmingsun records the story of Yi asking the Queen Mother of the West for medicine, but Chang'e stole the medicine and fled to the moon. The story of Han Wu records that Emperor Wu of the Han Dynasty received the Queen Mother of the West from Yunch on the night of July 7 and received fairy peaches from her. However, Emperor Wu of the Han Dynasty failed in his quest for the elixir of immortality. From myth to cultural symbol, the role of the elixir in the minds of ancient peoples. The legend of the elixir is not just a myth about immortality, it reflects the ancient people's desire and exploration for life, death, and transcendent destiny in a deeper level. In ancient Chinese culture, the pursuit of immortality was a universal desire, not only for emperors and generals, but also for ordinary people. The Queen Mother of the West and her elixir thus became the embodiment and symbol of this wish. Through the worship of the Queen Mother of the West and Xian Tao, people place their pursuit of beautiful life and eternal existence. In ancient Chinese religious beliefs and literary works, the Queen Mother of the West and her elixir appear frequently, reflecting her profound influence in ancient culture. From these stories and beliefs, we can not only get a glimpse of the life concepts and cosmology of the ancient people, but also feel their awe of the mysterious power and their infinite yearning for an ideal life state. For a very high-quality Mang god. In the myths and legends of ancient China, the image of the Queen Mother of the West is both mysterious and solemn. She is not only the ruler of Kunlun Mountain, but is also regarded as a high-ranking god from ancient times. Her subordinate Jushan Suanv, as the god of war, assisted the Yellow Emperor in defeating Qi Yu in the Central Plains. This not only demonstrated the military influence of the Queen Mother of the West, but also reflected her lofty status in mythology. The meeting between the Queen Mother of the West and King Mu of Zhou. According to ancient records, King Mu, the Emperor of Zhou, went through a long journey and finally arrived at the mysterious place in the territory of the Queen Mother of the West. During this meeting, King Mu of Zhou brought precious gifts, holding a white turtle black coin, and presented 100 pure pieces of patterned brocade and 300 pure silk products. Queen Mother Xi accepted these gifts, demonstrating the unique communication and respect between the two. Cultural significance of gifts. In ancient China, the exchange of gifts was not only a material gift, but also an expression of cultural and political significance. King Zhou Mu's trip was not a simple visit, but a profound diplomatic action. Different from previous occasions when King Zhou Mu met with tribal leaders, this time he gave gifts to the Queen Mother of the West first, breaking the conventional etiquette sequence. This reflects King Zhou Mu's high respect for the Queen Mother of the West, and also shows the extraordinary status of the Queen Mother of the West in the mythological system. The deeper meaning of communication. The meeting between King Mu of Zhou and the Queen Mother of the West was not only an exchange between humans and gods, but also a cultural and spiritual dialogue. King Mu of Zhou's gift symbolizes the supreme respect and admiration for the Queen Mother of the West, and is also a recognition of her authority and sacred status. This behavior not only deepens the connection between humans and the divine world, but also reflects the ancient Chinese people's profound understanding and respect for the order of the universe, nature, and the world of gods. This historical description not only reveals the unique status of the Queen Mother of the West in ancient mythology, but also reflects the importance of etiquette, worship of gods, and cultural inheritance in ancient Chinese society. The story of King Mu of Zhou and the Queen Mother of the West is still regarded as a precious heritage in Chinese culture. Its profound cultural significance and value inspire modern people to deeply explore and inherit ancient wisdom and civilization. 5. Queen Mother of the West, symbol of good fortune. The Queen Mother of the West occupies a very special position in ancient Chinese mythology. The description of her in ancient books such as the Classic of Mountains and Seas reveals that she is not only a powerful ancient god, but also a lucky god with far-reaching significance. The image and responsibilities of the Queen Mother of the West are still fascinating after thousands of years. Her story and priesthood reflect the ancients' understanding and respect for life, death, and natural phenomena. According to the description in the Classic of Mountains and Seas, the Queen Mother of the West is not a simple image of a god, but a complex cultural symbol. She lives on the beautiful and mysterious Kunlun Mountains. This is not only a reference to a geographical location, but also a symbol of an idealized paradise. Kunlun Mountain is regarded as the residence of gods, and as the Queen Mother of the West is the ruler here, her image is naturally endowed with positive and auspicious attributes. The responsibilities of the Queen Mother of the West include predicting disasters, death, and harvests, which were topics of great concern to ancient society. Through the description of the priesthood of the Queen Mother of the West, we can see that the ancients tried to explain and predict natural phenomena and various changes in social life through myths and legends. The image of the Queen Mother of the West has therefore become an object for people to seek protection and pray for. The legend of the Queen Mother of the West and the immortal medicine. Although the relationship between the Queen Mother of the West and the elixir is not directly described in the Classic of Mountains and Seas, This point has been continuously strengthened in subsequent cultural development. The Queen Mother of the West is considered the guardian of the elixir of life, which makes her image even more mysterious and desirable. People believe that the Queen Mother of the West holds the secret that transcends life and death. Therefore, she is not only a symbol of good fortune, but also a representative of the pursuit of eternal life. Modern meaning. In modern society, the image and story of the Queen Mother of the West still have important cultural value and Enlightenment significance. By studying and discussing the myth and legend of the Queen Mother of the West, we can not only better understand the thoughts and beliefs of the ancient people, but also gain reflections on the meaning of life, natural harmony, and human pursuits. The inheritance and changes of the story of Queen Mother of the West also reflect the continuous development of culture and the evolution of human thought. When facing the challenges of modern life, the wisdom and revelations in ancient myths and legends are still worthy of our reference and consideration. To sum up, the priesthood and image of the Queen Mother of the West occupy an important position in ancient culture. She is not only a symbol of auspiciousness, but also the embodiment of ancient wisdom. As her story continues to be explored, the image of the Queen Mother of the West will continue to inspire us to think deeply about life, nature, and cultural heritage. 6. Where is the Kunlun Mountain where the Queen Mother of the West lives? Kunlun Mountain occupies a supreme position in ancient Chinese mythology. It is not only the place where many gods live, but also the residence of the Queen Mother of the West. However, regarding the exact location of the Kunlun Mountains, the descriptions in ancient documents seem to be inconsistent with modern geographical knowledge, making this mysterious place an important research topic for later generations of scholars. The geographical location of Kunlun Mountain and its description in mythology. In ancient documents such as the Classic of Mountains and Seas, Kunlun Mountain is described as a sacred mountain connecting heaven and earth, and its location is full of mystery. It is not only the residence of gods and goddesses, but also the habitat of various magical creatures. The mythical Kunlun Mountains not only have fairyland-like beauty, but are also full of unknowns and dangers. However, it is difficult to find an exact correspondence with such a description in the real world. In the imagination of ancient people, the location of Kunlun Mountain seemed to be at the western end of the world and the gateway to the divine world. Archaeological and geographical research on the residence of the Queen Mother of the West. Modern archaeological and geographical research attempts to uncover the historical and geographical truth behind the myth of Kunlun Mountain. On the one hand, the actual Kunlun Mountains lie across western China. Its magnificent natural scenery and high mountains are consistent with the mysterious Kunlun in ancient documents, leading some scholars to believe that the ancient myth of Kunlun Mountains may have originated from the reverence for this geographical entity. Imagine. On the other hand, archaeologists are also searching for ancient ruins that may be related to the Kunlun Mountains along the routes described in ancient documents, trying to find clues connecting reality and myth. Modern exploration of the myths and legends of the Qinghai Tibet Plateau and Kunlun Mountains. The Kunlun Mountains are located in the northern part of the Qinghai Tibet Plateau. The unique geographical environment and rich cultural background of this area provide fertile soil for the myth of the Kunlun Mountains. Although modern scientific exploration and archaeological discoveries cannot completely confirm all the details in ancient myths, they have revealed to a certain extent the historical roots of Kunlun Mountain's special status in the minds of ancient people. Some ancient cultural relics on the Qinghai Tibet Plateau, as well as the unique natural landscapes and ecosystems there, may be the realistic basis for the legend of the ancient Kunlun Mountains. Through modern exploration of the Kunlun Mountains and its surrounding areas, we can not only better understand the geographical background of ancient myths and legends, but also get a glimpse of how ancient people used myths to explain and express their awe and imagination of the natural world. The myths and legends of Kunlun Mountain are undoubtedly an outstanding example of the interaction between humanistic imagination and natural landscape in ancient China. Its charm still inspires future generations' endless reveries about this mysterious land. 7. What is the difference between the Queen Mother of the West and the Queen Mother in later religious legends? The image of the Queen Mother of the West is deeply rooted in ancient Chinese mythology, and over time, her image and story have undergone significant evolution in the religious and cultural traditions of later generations. Especially in Taoism and folk beliefs, the Queen Mother of the West gradually evolved into the Queen Mother. This change not only involves her name and image, but also includes her divinity and the cultural significance she represents. Comparison between the images of the Queen Mother of the West and the Queen Mother. In ancient mythology, the Queen Mother of the West is described as the ruler of the Kunlun Mountains, possessing the elixir of death and in charge of life, death, and disease. Her image has a strong natural and wild color, and is also a symbol of power and wisdom. In later generations, especially in Taoist culture, the image of the Queen Mother of the West gradually transformed into the Queen Mother. This image is more gentle and kind, and is regarded as the embodiment of benevolence and compassion. At the same time, she is also closely related to the order and harmony of the universe. The evolution of the image of the Queen Mother in Chinese and Western religious beliefs. This change in the image of the Queen Mother of the West reflects the evolution of Chinese religious beliefs and cultural concepts. In Taoism, the Queen Mother of the West or the Queen Mother is endowed with more functions of mediating between the universe and heaven and earth, becoming an important bridge between heaven and earth. This evolution not only deepened her divinity, but also made her image more multidimensional and complex, becoming an integral part of Taoist mythology and religious rituals. The Queen Mother's position in Taoism and folk beliefs. In the Taoist system, the Queen Mother's status is extremely respected. She is not only the mother of the gods, but also one of the ultimate sources of power sought by Taoists. Her mythological stories and images appear frequently in Taoist classics and rituals, and she has become the object of Taoist practice and prayer. At the same time, in folk beliefs, the Queen Mother is also widely worshipped. Her image is closer to people's lives and is considered a deity who protects families and children and brings happiness and health. In different festivals and folk ceremonies, people will express their respect and prayers to the Queen Mother through sacrifices and prayers. In general, although the Queen Mother of the West and the Queen Mother are derived from the same core image in myths and legends, their roles and meanings have undergone significant changes and developments in the religious beliefs and cultural interpretations of later generations. This evolution not only reflects the profound thinking about divinity and humanity in Chinese culture, but also demonstrates the dynamic process of cultural inheritance and innovation. 8. What's the point of discussing this ancient myths, such as the legend of the Queen Mother of the West, are not only a manifestation of people's imagination in ancient times, they still carry profound cultural significance and value in modern society. Through the exploration and study of these ancient legends, we can better understand human cultural inheritance, ideological evolution, and the continuity and changes between ancient times and modern times. The influence of ancient myths on modern culture. Ancient myths are like a bridge connecting the past and the present, and their influence in modern culture is manifested on many levels. From literary works, movies, TV series to daily speech and behavior, elements of ancient mythology are everywhere, influencing people's values and aesthetic orientation. For example, the image and story of Queen Mother of the West have been constantly reinterpreted and recreated, becoming an important resource for modern people to explore themes such as gender roles, power and wisdom, life and death. The significance and value of the legend of the Queen Mother of the West in modern society. The value of the legend of the Queen Mother of the West in modern society lies not only in its preservation and inheritance as a cultural heritage, but also in the deep thinking it contains. These ancient legends allow us to reflect on the relationship between man and nature, the meaning of life, and human pursuit of eternity and perfection. They inspire people's imagination and encourage modern people to find their own spiritual sustenance and spiritual home in the fast-paced life. Combining mythology and archaeology, deepening understanding of ancient civilizations. Combining mythology with archaeology provides us with a unique perspective for a more comprehensive and in-depth understanding of ancient civilizations. Archaeological discoveries can not only help us verify the geographical and historical background of myths and legends, but also reveal the cultural truth and social structure behind these legends. Through archaeological exploration of myth-related locations such as the Kunlun Mountains and the residence of the Queen Mother of the West, we can not only have a more specific understanding of ancient civilizations, but also understand how ancient people used myths to explain the world and express their afterlife and the universe. In short, ancient myths and their modern interpretations not only enrich our cultural life, but also provide us with an important window into understanding human history, culture, and soul. Through the continuous study and exploration of these ancient legends, we can better understand the past, think about the present, and inspire the future.